Hello everyone, welcome to my very first Q&A video. This is something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. I went across my channel and I realized that I don't have a lot of videos that really showcase who I am, other than the guy who likes expensive glow sticks. It's a kind of a win-win thing because I get to feel special with your guys' attention and you get to know me a little bit better. I will be including questions from both my Instagram and my YouTube on here, so there'll be a little bit of a variety in that. The first question comes from Zero Galaxy. Are you ever going to launch your own lightsaber website / business? This is a really good question actually, because I've thought about doing this a lot. I even have my own website, my own Saber business name. I've had it for almost a year now and I've just never done anything with it. It's still something that I would like to do and I possibly plan to do. Who are your top 5 or 3 favorite lightsaber content creators on all social media platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok? This is a really good question because I love hyping up my friends and letting you guys know who I watch on a daily basis and where I get my inspiration from. In no particular order, my top 5 would definitely have to be Carly King, Avery Costello, Luke's Lightsabers, Cassiana, and probably Astoria Workshop. They all do various different things and I really enjoy watching their content the most. Tuhqa, big fan and love your videos. Just wanted to know what the Senza feels like to spin. Does it feel like the rest of your cow sabers? Is it heavy and able to be dueled with? Every saber trio I've ever held, they're just all so light. They're all so easy to spin. Even the crossguard is easy to spin. The Senza is no exception. It's super light. It can be dueled with. It's more about the blade that you put in it, and I have pretty lightweight blades. So what is the hardest trick you've ever learned with saber spinning? The hardest trick for me, I'm not very good at tosses, like throwing the saber up and catching it. I suck at those because I always get so nervous, especially with my nicer hilts. Other than that, I'm also really bad at the where you go behind your back and spin. I always mess that up and I've still been doing it for over a year now. Do you think we should have gotten the George Lucas sequels? Imagine what we would have gotten if we actually got George Lucas's sequels, because if you guys have not seen the clip of him saying like he would have made the sequels, it's like a daydream. Like you can only imagine what would have came out of it, how much better it could have been. What was your first NeoPixel lightsaber? I've said this quite a few times, but I'll go ahead and say it again here for those who don't know. My first NeoPixel was my Cal Kestis, right up here on the wall up there. I bought it around the time Jedi Fallen Order had just come out, maybe a few months after. I got lucky, didn't find a scammy site because there are a lot of those out there. I stumbled across Corband and I bought the one from them and I've had it ever since. What was your favorite season of the Clone Wars? This is such a good question. It's tough to pick because Ahsoka is my favorite and season 7 is ultimately focused really around her and her experience through Order 66. It definitely isn't 1, 2, or 6, I'll tell you that. I want to say 5. I think the reason I would pick 5 is because there's more episodes, there's more than just Ahsoka, even though she is my favorite. It still builds around her and so many other things happening, so definitely 5. Gooba Laba Jump something something. Is there any lightsaber you are never going to get because it's too expensive? Yes, there is, and I don't even want to own it because 1, I don't like the way it looks. It's worth like $7,000 or $8,000, but I would never spend that much. Nor do I even like the saber enough to buy it. Daniel asks, who would you like to see direct a Star Wars movie or show? I don't know a whole lot of different directors, but if I had to pick just off the top of my head, Christopher Nolan for sure. I don't know what kind of direction that would lead to. I get this question a lot. What is your most favorite and your least favorite lightsaber in your collection? It's either my Princess Leia or my Cal Kestis, my first saber I ever bought. So those two, and my least favorite would have to be, I really dislike Darth Vader's lightsaber, so I would say his or Palpatine's. I think they're hideous looking. I have made reviews on both of those, and those sabers are good. I just don't like the design. I think they're hideous. Lord of the Geek asks, what is your favorite Star Wars movie? Definitely Revenge of the Sith. Parker Harrison asks, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I have no clue, bro. I have no clue. I definitely didn't see myself here 5 years ago making lightsaber content. So it's truly hard to say. Life only changes more and more rapidly the more I grow up. So it's really hard to say. Hopefully somewhere good. This is a good one. What is the best movie in the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, and the sequel trilogy? Prequels, Revenge of the Sith. Originals, Return of the Jedi. Sequels, probably The Force Awakens. This is a question I get almost every day. How do you afford all of this? So I'm going to tell you guys what my strategy was and how I got to this point and what you could do to possibly do something similar if this is what you want to do. I worked a job in security, and with that job, it was very lenient in hours, and there was always call-offs and opportunities to get more hours. So there were times when I would literally work 70 to 85 hours a week, every week for about a year and a half or more. Now, it wasn't always 70 hours or more. Sometimes I'd go around 55 or in the 60s, but it was never anything less than like 55 hours, 60 hours a week. Eventually, as I kept buying sabers with my own money, companies reached out to me and they sent me some for free, and that's where you see a lot of my reviews come from. Nathan Marshall asks, did you take sword fighting lessons? No, I did not. I've never done any fighting class or anything in that category. I just picked up a saber and spun it really badly for probably a year and a half until I finally got somewhat okay. This next question I have been asked from this guy for like the last year and a half, and I think it's so funny. Hypercliff really wants to know, please answer your thoughts on coconuts. I hate to disappoint you, Hypercliff, but I am not a coconut fan. And it's not that I dislike it, I have just had little to nothing coconut related. The only thing coconut I've had is a G Fuel flavor, and I'm pretty sure they discontinued it. I am neutral. I don't dislike, nor do I like coconuts. Are you gonna have a gaming channel soon? I do have a gaming channel, and it's kind of this one. If you guys scroll down on my content, you'll see that my channel was primarily and only gaming for the first 7-8 years of me posting online. It wasn't until Star Wars really took off and I got into this that it changed. I'm still gonna post it, but I do hope that you guys enjoy it when I do post it. Favorite planet and why? Oh, I love Endor. There's really not much of it shown other than what? Return of the Jedi, I think? I keep waiting for when we get new shows that they're going to possibly do something on Endor. I just love trees. I love the green. It reminds me of where I'm from. Just Savior says, you look like Tom Holland. Not a question, but I will take it because Tom Holland is very handsome and that makes me feel good inside. Even though I don't think I really do, but... Okay, so that is it for the Instagram questions. I'm going to move on to the... Wait, no. That's it for the YouTube questions. I'm going to move on to the Instagram ones now. Eric McKay asks, what is the most expensive lightsaber you own? My most expensive that I bought at one time were my Ahsoka Thrawn Hunters, which were $13.50, but it does come with two. For the most that I've ever paid for a single saber alone would have to be my old Rey saber, which I paid $9.50 for. When did you start listening to the Backseat Lovers? I started listening to them around, it was like the very beginning of August in 2021. The Dork Side, or Victoria, asks, do you eat pancakes? Will you eat pancakes? When will you eat pancakes? Never. I don't like pancakes. So me and Vic have had this very, very funny argument going on about pancakes versus waffles for quite some time now. So I need you guys to comment below if you guys like pancakes or waffles more. And also I need you to explain why waffles are so much better. But I refuse to eat pancakes, especially online. I would never show the world that. That is horrible. This question comes from a very good friend of mine as well, from Hannah Emp. Tuhqa's with the 2 cubes. If you could go back 3 years, would you give yourself advice and why? I do think about this a lot where I'm like, if I could go back and just tell myself one thing in one specific moment where I know I would listen to myself, what would I say? I would say to stay consistent and stay even more consistent when you already feel like you are. Because there was a point when I feel like I should have been uploading even more and it would have helped me grow so much more than where I am. But I'm very appreciative for where I am now and what I have, so I try and just remain fine with that. But that would be my one piece of advice, is to stay even more consistent than I already thought I was. What are some tips and tricks of your filming and videos and what you use to make them? So I've had a lot of people actually ask me what kind of gear I use and what advice I'd give. I use, for my video camera, I use a Sony ZV-E10. I also use my iPhone 13 Pro Max. Sometimes I go between them. For all my thumbnails and pictures that you see, I have my camera right here. This is a Canon Rebel T7i with a 50mm 1.2 lens. I edit on a MacBook Pro, and I use a Shure SM7B mic along with the Rode Wireless Go 2 mic sometimes you'll see. For an audio interface for a mic like this, I use the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. I think that's really about it. I do have a lighting thing right here that you can't see. I use a light ring. So I would also recommend getting good lighting. It's super important. I'm almost always filming in the daytime where I get natural lighting and I don't have to rely too much on a what do you call it? A light ring? Work hard, know your gear. It's super important. Do you like horror movies? If so, what is your all-time fave? So one thing to know about me is I hate horror. I'm too scared of it. Will I watch them? Yes, and I have. And I was scared for the nights that followed me after when I went to bed. I do really like Hereditary. I don't know if anyone's seen that. It's a really solid movie. Gabe asks, why are you? It's a really good question. I haven't thought about that. What is your favorite Star Wars monster or creature? I would say either a Togruta, whatever Ahsoka is, I can't say it right. Togruta? I think that's how you say it. Or a Lothcat. I really like Lothcats. They're very cute. Colby Blake wants to know, what is your next guitar purchase? Very good question, because I already have 2 that I'm looking at. So I'm wanting to get an acoustic next, so it might be that. The Taylor 414 CER in specific. I really like that one. Or I'm going to get my first Gibson, which would be, I think it's called Transparent Cherry. It's so beautiful. It's like this really gorgeous red. They're both very pricey, but I would like to have them both, and I definitely will. In your opinion, what is the best lightsaber to get? This is hard to answer and kind of impossible to answer because it depends on the buyer. It depends on what you want. If you do want to go out and spend like 2 weeks of your money's worth, go to Saber Trio or Vader's Vault. It's the best lightsabers I've ever held and used, hands down. But for those who have like more of a strict budget, which I totally understand, I would say go to Imperial Workshop or something of that nature. There's no specific best lightsaber. There's no one grand best lightsaber to get. If I had to pick one, I would say it's something from Saber Trio, really, because you can spin them. They're extremely light. You can beat them up. You can do whatever you want, and they come with so many features, like my Saber Trio Reaver. Who is your favorite Sith in Star Wars? Definitely Darth Maul. I love his story, and I think a lot of other people do as well. This might be my favorite question that I've answered yet, and it comes from a friend of mine, Fighter Hunter. What inspired you to start a YouTube channel? So this has nothing to do with Star Wars, unfortunately, guys. I'm sorry. But back in around 2012 is when I wanted to start my YouTube channel. I was watching a lot of FaZe Clan. And if you were there for the glory days, the true glory days of FaZe Clan and gaming back then, you truly witnessed something that will never, ever happen again in gaming. I loved trickshotting and sniping. It was the only form of comfort I had in the household I had growing up. So I very much clung to FaZe and what they did. That was my inspiration to start. I was kind of a sad child in his room, locked away, just watching YouTube videos. That was my inspiration for starting a YouTube channel, was FaZe Clan and gaming, and just being someone else's light when they're going through it, or just stuck in their room and they feel like they have nothing else. Kind of a deep answer, but that's the answer. Kyber Sabers asks, Ultra Telecaster or American Deluxe? So I have both of my prized possessions here. These are my favorite guitars. This is my American Deluxe Tele over here, the orange one, and my blue one is my American Ultra. But I would say the Ultra just because it is the Deluxe, but more improved and more modern. They're literally the exact same thing, just the Ultra is more improved upon. Do I like my Deluxe more? Yes, but I think the Ultra is better. Have you ever had any sort of debt from buying sabers? Family opinion on your lightsaber. I have had a little bit of debt in a way because a few of my sabers, like 2 or 3 of them, I put them on payment plans. So technically that is debt. But I never did anything dangerous to where I was like, oh no, I'm out of money because I bought a saber. I need to do something. My family's opinion on my lightsaber or just what I do is very positive. My dad and everyone in my family knows about what I do. They actually really like watching my stuff, which I don't like them watching it. But what are some of your Star Wars or gaming hot takes? So Star Wars hot takes, the originals are not that good, at least not to what most people think they are. That's just my opinion. I don't think the originals are rewatch worthy in any way. I think they're very boring. That's gonna upset a lot of people. Sorry guys. A gaming hot take, which I don't necessarily think is a hot take, is that FaZe Clan was the pinnacle of gaming. I do think that they really changed everything. I think a lot of other people did too, like Optic and Soar and, you know, 100 Thieves, but I think FaZe did something that no one else has remotely come close to. They're in the gutter now, but I think FaZe was the pinnacle and most innovative of gaming. Favorite memory from content creation? That's a good one. One thing that honestly sticks in my mind is my first YouTube video. Just like the memories I made from trickshotting and when I first started making videos that were centered around gaming and FaZe. Those gaming days I had and the videos I uploaded were really special to me. And I find those to be some of my favorite memories of content creating. Which company offers brighter NeoPixel sabers? The only thing that is going to affect your blade brightness is the blade that you're using and the batteries within your saber. You want to make sure you have it on a full charge, and you also want to have a better battery, which I've explained in some of my other videos, which batteries to buy, and will give you a more luminescent effect. And if you have a better blade, because a lot of the sabers that a lot of my followers or subscribers are going to have are LGT or TXQ blades. They're not as good as what some other companies have, like Saber Trio, Vader's Vault, or KR. Now, if you do buy a Saber Trio, it's going to be brighter than, say, an Imperial Workshop saber because, one, it has the better battery and it has the better blade, and Imperial Workshop doesn't. So yes, buying something that's more expensive will technically get you a brighter blade, but it's because of those two components. So keep that in mind. What are your tips for future content creators? Do what you can with what you have. I started making content. My very first video I ever filmed that was intended to go online was my phone sitting this way on my blanket on my bed from a crappy angle in the dark. It looked horrible, but I didn't care. I just wanted to make the video. I just wanted to make it. Do what you can with what you have, regardless. Don't make excuses, because we like to sit there and think, oh, I don't have this mic, I don't have this camera, I don't have this or that. Yes, that is valid, but you're restricting yourself so much, because let me tell you something, the gear you have, you're gonna suck with it when you first start. Even if you have the setup I have, you're still gonna suck with it. So you better start sucking with your crappy equipment rather than sucking with your good equipment, because then you're really gonna be disheartened and you're not gonna be inspired and motivated. Last question is, how did you get the name Tuhqa? So back in Call of Duty days for me in around 2013, I needed a cool, very cool gamer tag. So I came up with my 4 favorite letters, T-U-Q-A, and I made Tuhqa. Unfortunately, that was taken on Xbox, so I added the H, and I think it worked out a lot better for me. It looks a lot cleaner. Please do let me know below if you'd like to see more of these, and thank you guys for submitting your questions and for all the support.